Hey guys, this is Ryan with Momma on Mission. If you are new here, I am a Christ-following, book-loving wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. So subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to stick around and hear about all things homeschool, biblical womanhood, and book related. And today I am joining in a collaboration hosted by Vani over at Mrs. Mom's Homeschool. And I'm really excited about this because this is the Morning Basket collaboration. And if you've stuck around for any time at all, you know that we have done Morning Basket in the past. Last year we had planned to, but what we ended up putting into our Morning Basket was more just work. It wasn't the good and true and beautiful things that we want to kind of dwell on during our Morning Basket time. And so this time we're going back to the basics for our morning basket, and our morning basket is going to be all books. And if you just watched my Sunlight unboxing video, you're like, aren't you reading enough books this year? Yeah, we're reading a lot of books this year. But these are the books that I just really think are important to read this year, as well as books that just we don't get to any other time. And we'll also have in here things for my kiddos to do with their hands, but I'm not going to show you those yet because I'm doing a read aloud collaboration at the end of the month where I will share all about how we do our read aloud time. And since our morning basket is all books, that's a big chunk of our read aloud time. So this video is just going to be all about how we do morning basket and what is in our morning basket. So how we do it is we do it in a loop style. So I have 5 books that I want to work through this year. And it doesn't matter if I finish them or if I don't, I just want to be in them. And so every day I will set a timer for at least 20 minutes. I aim for 30 minutes. If we're kind of running a little behind, I might only do 20. And we will just start on day 1, we will just start on book 1. And then we will read through that for a bit. Maybe the whole 20 minutes, maybe the whole 30 minutes, maybe not, depending on what it is. And once we're done with that, we'll go to the next book on the list. And we'll keep going until our time is up. When the time is up, let's say that we finished off in book 3 and we were at a good stopping point, then the next day when I start my morning basket time, I will pick up book 4. And then we'll do book 5. And then we'll loop back around and do book 1. So if you're familiar with loop schedule, that's nothing new to you. If not, that might sound a bit confusing. And so as I show you what is in our morning basket, I will kind of explain that further. So the first book in our morning basket is the Children's Book of Virtues by William J. Bennett. So there is a Book of Virtues. We have the full version, but right now we just want to work through the Children's Book of Virtues. So this is a bunch of poems and stories all about different kind of character traits and virtues that we want to build in our children. So they are courage and perseverance, responsibility, work, and self-discipline, compassion and faith, honesty, loyalty, and friendship. And so they're broken down into sections here. And so I would just say, since with this being my first book, some of them are, stories that are taking several pages. So if I am reading a story out of this, I would say after one story, then we would move on to our next book. But some days it is just a poem. And so if I land on a page that's just a poem, then I might read 2 poems or 3 poems before I move on to our second book. But this book I really, really love because, like I said, it is introducing and developing those character traits that we really just want for our children. And it has beautiful illustrations, easy to read, but chock full of good stuff. Our second book on here is the Usborne Illustrated Classics, Action Stories for Young Readers. So these are some of your really basic stories. Obviously they are in the abridged version, which I'm not a huge fan of abridged versions, but like right now, I don't have the time nor really the ability to sit and read the entire, book, Robinson Crusoe, the entire Around the World in 80 Days, the entire Robin Hood. And so these are condensed versions that we can read in kind of like a storybook format. that we'll just put in those memory pegs, so that when they're a little bit older and do get to read those books in their full entirety, then they'll appreciate them because they'll kind of know, oh wait, I remember reading about this in second grade or whatever. And so these, when this comes up on my loop, these are broken down obviously by story. So here's Robin Hood, but they're even broken down into little chapters. And the chapters are, let's see, probably 5 or 6 pages long. So I would, if I was just starting with this one, I'd probably just go ahead and read a story all the way through. If I was ending on this one and needed to get to a stopping point, I would probably stop after a chapter or 2. So that's how we would use that one. Then the third book on our loop is this Treasury of Poetry for Children, with a foreword by Charles Cosley. And so this is obviously just poetry. They are kind of broken into different themes. We have beginnings, all about beginnings, wild and free, pets and friends, weird and wonderful, hill and dale, food and fun, ballads and stories, hopes and dreams, and stuff and nonsense, and a bunch of others. So I'm not going to read all of it, but there's a whole lot of it. And so when this book comes up on our loop, I will probably just read 2 or 3 poems, because if you just read a whole bunch all at once, they kind of like lose their potency, is what I've kind of figured out. But if you just kind of pick a couple and let them read and maybe reread them, they kind of sit and you can kind of think about it and digest a little better. And then the 4th book on our list. And a lot of these books, if you've seen my morning basket videos in past years, you've seen these before. Some of it is because we end up squeezing morning time out of our routine because I'm a checklist person. I'm like, let's get all this important stuff done and then we'll do morning time. Well, I think for our family, I know other people do it differently. I think for our family, we have to start with morning time or it just won't happen. Because, you know, and that's the same with kind of my Bible time and my quiet time praying and stuff in the morning. I have to do it in the morning, not because I feel like there's any biblical reason necessarily. But if I don't get it done early, first thing, I start getting busy and doing the other things. And then I'm like, oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I'll do it later. And then I never do it. And so same thing with morning time. If we don't do it first thing, it just won't get done. And so some of these books we started and never finished. Some of these I just want to do them again because they were good. So Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. This is one we never finished. And some of these I still probably won't read to my kids. The original Grimm's Fairy Tales, as I'm sure you know, are pretty creepy and gory. So some of them, I mean, we'll obviously read. Some of them we'll just skip over and wait till they're much older to read them. But these I will obviously just keep it to one story. If this comes up at the end of my loop for the day, then I might just kind of find a good stopping point and cut it off because some of them are a little longer. But if it comes at the beginning, we'll go ahead and read an entire fairy tale. And then the 5th book in my loop for morning time is this Great Americans book. This is actually a discarded textbook from a school that I just happened to pick up. I don't even remember where I got it. But we've picked it up a few times, and it really just talks about famous Americans and has black and white pictures, but it talks about like what they're famous for. And again, for me, this is just kind of putting in those memory pegs for my kids. We're not going in real deep here. This is just so when they do study these people later in their history studies, they will be more familiar with them. So we enjoy this book, and that's all. So I forgot there is one more book we actually have in our loop, and that is Story of the World Volume 1 this year. And also we use this time to discuss current events and read some scripture and pray. So other than the things I put in there for them to do with their hands, which I will share with you at the end of the month, our morning basket is simple. We loop the books, we read the books, we set a timer. When the timer's done, we can put them up and move on with our day. But it's kind of a more gentle way to slowly get into our day, because my kids are not like jump out of bed, let's go kind of people. They like to wake up early, but they like to take their time getting around. So this is kind of a gentle way to ease them into the school day. So I thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Please check out Vani's channel down below and check out the playlist. There's several other mamas joining this collaboration, and if you are needing morning basket ideas, there will be a ton down there. So I thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.